Getting a driver's license is not as easy as it used to be. You now need a lot of documentation to get one because of the Real ID Act.
But some people say getting all that paperwork is almost impossible. And when you have a problem, you call consumer advocate Michelle Mortensen.
Yeah, tonight she takes a look at a group of people who can't get a Real ID, apparently no matter how hard they try. And you could be on that list and not even know it.
Yeah, you know what? I've taken a lot of calls like these over the years for folks claiming that they can't get a driver's license because they don't know where their birth certificate is. Now, usually a letter to the Vital Records Department in the county they were born in solves everything, but not for one woman. Her situation is shining a light on how a law birthed from the 9/11 terror attacks is making it impossible for some people to get a real ID.
They told me in Fernley that without a birth certificate, I was dead in the water.
That's 73-year-old Jeanette House, born November 23rd, 1942 in Porham, Oklahoma. She's never had a copy of her birth certificate, and she's never needed one until now. But getting one is proving to be impossible. See, the Vital Records Division in Oklahoma claims they can't find hers. They've looked for months, but have given up. They even sent her this letter of no record. Knowing that wouldn't help her get a real ID, she turned to me for help. I called the DMV on her behalf, and together we came up with a plan, scheduled an appointment, and headed down. The DMV said that letter of no record, along with a variety of public and private records verifying her identity, would be acceptable. In fact, any two of these documents would work, and Jeanette had many of them. But when the day came for her appointment,
because I'm not going to be able to issue a real ID off of this.
Jeanette was denied again. Why? Jeanette's legal name is Linda Jeanette House, but she goes by her middle name. So most of the documents list her as Jeanette, not Linda. Not all was lost, though. They gave her an extension and the advice to apply for a passport because she supposedly had more than enough for one of those. That was in late May. As of today, Jeanette has been turned down for a passport 2 times.
Every time I would send what I thought was the documentation they wanted, they would let me know that wasn't correct. I needed to do this and that and something else.
So what do they want?
You can't find the obstetrician who delivered you.
No, no.
Of course she can't. She's almost 74 years old. The people present during her birth are no longer living. This is a problem lots of people of a certain age are facing. You may recall 107-year-old Virginia McLaren also could not get a real ID until this year. It took an act of the president to get her one, only after she did a little dance with him. And that may be what it will take to get Jeanette one too, because no one can bend the law. In fact, the DMV told us there's literally nothing they can do for Jeanette or anyone in her shoes.
I understand how people can get frustrated, especially older people, where you have to go back 50 or 60 years and try to find a birth certificate and prove all your name changes. But the Real ID Act requires that you prove that you are who you say you are.
All right, so if the government continues to reject Jeanette's request for a passport, she'll only be able to get a Nevada driver's license, not a real ID. That would mean after October 1st, 2020, she could no longer fly or go into a federal facility. So what's the takeaway for you? Well, no matter what your age, if you don't have a copy of your birth certificate, start trying to get one now. I've just shown you Vital Records Departments lose documentation. Events like Hurricane Katrina, fires, floods, they can wipe out records. Starting early might make this process a little easier because getting a real ID isn't as simple as the government likes to make it sound.
Holy cow, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I went into DMV with a folder full of stuff and just barely qualified.
A lot of women who've had several marriages and divorces are also in this boat because you need every single marriage certificate and every single divorce decree for every name change. So this really is a nightmare, but I'm trying to be honest with everyone. October 2020, you can no longer fly if you do not get this. So it's not a joke. It's not something to mess around with. It could be a real life nightmare.
All right, keep us posted. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. Ted's